If you've ever wondered which is the best manifestation technique to use, this is really going to help. I put all of the major manifestation techniques to the test to discover which one to use in which circumstance for the best results. One of the most common questions that I get asked is, which technique should I use? Which one's the best? And how do I use it? Being overwhelmed with all of the different techniques can really set you back. I actually created another video called 72 manifestation methods that work. So if you want an overview of all 72 methods, go and check out that video. But in this video, I'm sharing which techniques are the best, which ones I personally use, which ones I recommend, which ones are essential, and which ones are not essential. So what I've done is I have created a 6-step manifestation process, and what I did with those 72 different manifestation methods is I placed them in the particular process in one of the 6 processes, and I explained all that in that other video. But in this video I am explaining which of the steps of the processes are essential and which you can leave behind, and which manifestation techniques you should use and which are the best techniques to use for each step of the process. So the first step of the manifestation process is simply to decide what you want and decide that you are going to get what you want. And that's why you're actually manifesting in the first place. That's why you're using manifestation techniques. If you didn't believe that you were going to get what you wanted, you wouldn't bother wasting your time using the manifestation techniques. Now, it doesn't matter if you truly believe that you are going to have it. Nobody 100% believes in their manifestations until they actually show up, but you have to have enough of a decision to move forward with the process. And there aren't really any specific techniques that fall under this step, because you're simply just deciding something in your mind. A lot of people will say that they manifested something simply from changing their mind about something. You'd be surprised at how many people complain to me about their lives, and then I ask them, what do they want their lives to actually look like? What do they actually want? And they don't know, and they can't tell me, and they continue to moan and complain. So most people in the world don't actually know what they want, and they haven't actually decided what they want. So this is a very crucial step. And I don't really even believe that most people don't know what they want, but they don't want to say it out loud. They don't want to admit what they want, because they're just setting themselves up for disappointment in their minds, because they don't believe that they can actually have what they want. So there's no point even talking about what they want. So you have to have enough confidence to even state that you want something, that you desire to have something. And if you don't even have enough confidence to decide that you actually want something and you're going to go after it, then I recommend jumping straight to step number 4, which is to reject disbelief, and I'll get to that in a minute. So the first step in the process, which is to make a decision, is actually an essential part of the process. If you don't decide what you want, you can't manifest it. There are some people who accidentally manifest good things by simply jumping to step number 3, but they haven't consciously decided what they want. So you can accidentally manifest good things, you can accidentally manifest bad things, but we are consciously manifesting on purpose. So it is essential to decide what you want if you want to be a conscious creator. Step number 2 in the manifestation process is to commit the details of your desire to paper. And this stage of the process is actually not essential, but it is highly recommended. So in step 1 of the process, say for example, you desired to manifest a new house, and you've made a decision, I want a new house. And you could manifest having a new house, but it might be a worse house than you currently live in, because you've not decided on any of the details. So that's why it's highly advisable to go through step 2 of the process and decide what you want. You don't necessarily need to commit the details to paper. If you could have a conversation with somebody and you could say out loud what you wanted your house to look like, all the details of your manifestation, then you don't have to write it down, but it can really help you to write it down. Whenever we were manifesting a new house, we sat down as a family and we committed our desires and the details of our desires to paper. We wrote down in detail what we wanted our house to look like. So we did it out loud, but we also did it to paper too. I think there's something very powerful about committing the details of your desires to paper. It's almost like you are solidifying your decision and being more confident that it's actually going to happen. So there are two ways to commit the details of your desire to paper. Number one is you can use journaling, otherwise known as scripting, and you can simply write with words what you want. You might write a list of all of the features of your house. I want a swimming pool, I want safe area, I want near to a train station, etc., etc. Whatever you want. Another way to do it is to use a vision board where you're printing out or you're finding and cutting out pictures in magazines that represent the thing that you want. You're sticking it on a board, sticking it on your wall, and you have committed the details to paper. So you've gone through that process of deciding what you want and you've put it on paper somehow. A lot of people really love to use vision boards and they really work well for a lot of people. I personally don't really like to use them because I don't want to waste my time trying to find images that may or may not be exactly what I'm looking for. I would rather write down exactly what I want, and then I feel like I'm going to get more of exactly what I want rather than finding something that's not quite right on a piece of paper. And the technique that I like to use the best when it comes to journaling or scripting is to use the perfect Groundhog Day design method that I invented, which is simply to write down your perfect day exactly as you want it to be. So even if you want lots of different manifestations, if you write down how your perfect day is from start to finish, like I get up in the morning, I do this, I go here, I go there, I wake up in my dream house, I do my dream work, I'm with my dream family, etc., etc. And that is the technique that I used to manifest my dream life. And it's not the actual technique that manifests, it's what it does to your imagination. So I'll get to that in a minute. Another technique that I really like to use for my business, which does actually include a board, but it just has words on a board rather than pictures on a board, and that is my goal board and my manifestation board. So what I do is I have two boards for my business. One is a list of business milestones that I want to hit, and the other board contains milestones that I have manifested. So one is a manifestation board full of things that I have already manifested, which really motivates me and makes me happy and helps me to manifest more of the same. And the other board is things that I want to manifest in the future. And the act of moving the things that you want to manifest to the manifestation board is a very powerful and enjoyable process. And I actually have a free 89-page pack that you can choose to print out various milestones, and you can get that free by clicking the link below. Now let's move on to step number 3, which is to imagine that you already have the thing that you want. And this is the most important part of the process. It's absolutely essential. This is what activates the manifestation to happen. So if you skip this, you won't be able to manifest anything, because everything helps you to use your imagination. Every single one of the tools and techniques, every one of those 72 different methods, all they do is they help you to activate your imagination. If they don't help you to activate your imagination, then ditch them, get rid of them. They're not working for you. They're not going to manifest anything for you. Even if they're a fun activity, they're not going to manifest unless you are using your imagination. There is no point in repeating affirmations over and over and over, or writing affirmations down in a journal over and over and over and over, if it doesn't help you to imagine that you already have the thing that you want to manifest. All of these manifestation techniques are pointless unless they activate your imagination. And a lot of people would call the process of activating your imagination visualization, but I don't like to refer to it as visualization, because that brings to mind imagining pictures of what you want to manifest. And there are actually 8 different types of visual imagery. I like to call it visual imagery, because you can imagine in pictures, you can imagine in sounds, you can imagine by different types of feeling and movement and using the 5 senses. There are 8 different ways, and I have created a video and a blog post about this, so you can go and check out all 8 different ways. So I don't usually like to say visualization, but when people say visualization, they really just mean using their imagination. So anything that involves visualization is the thing that activates your imagination. So that is the essential thing. And there are so many different types of visual imagery that I like to use, so many different techniques that really help me to activate my imagination. So I'll share some of my favorite techniques with you now. When I'm in a state of relaxation, I really like to use guided meditations or guided manifestation meditations, where a voice is walking you through the process of imagination and they are prompting you, imagine this now, imagine this now. And that really helps you to keep your focus on the process of using your imagination instead of sending your brain thinking about all kinds of different irrelevant things other than the thing you are trying to manifest. And I've got loads of these guided meditations on my YouTube channel. I've got one that is a specific process of walking you through imagining your own desired reality. Sometimes when I'm feeling really tired and my brain just wants to go to sleep and it really can't be bothered to play a scene in my imagination, then I will use a technique by Neville Goddard called Isn't It Wonderful, and I will just repeat isn't it wonderful over and over again when I'm falling asleep, because certain good things will pop into my mind when I'm doing this, but it doesn't feel stressful and it doesn't feel difficult when I just want to relax and go to sleep. There is one essential technique that I recommend you use, and I talk about this all the time on my channel, and I have a specific video that's all about this concept. And if you only did one technique, this would be the one to do, and I do this every single day. I recommend that you also use this at least once every day, and that is called creating a reverse memory. It's creating a memory of something in your imagination before it's happened in the future, and that's why it's called a reverse memory, because normally we have memories based on events that have occurred, and this is a memory based on an event that hasn't yet occurred, but when it has occurred in your imagination, it will occur in your physical reality. And if you want more details, go and check out my other video all about that. And as part of that process of creating a reverse memory, you can also use other techniques that help you to create a reverse memory. Like, for example, there is a technique by Neville Goddard called the telephone technique. This is really good for if you can visualize something by seeing pictures in your mind. So if you are trying to manifest a new house, it's a very tangible thing that you can see exactly what you want it to look like. Some people can't actually see pictures in your imagination, so the telephone technique will work for them. And a telephone technique is really good for when it's a concept that you can't really see a picture of. Say, for example, you are a different type of person, that you maybe are a more relaxed person, a more confident person, and you can't really visualize yourself being that new type of person, maybe a successful person. This is when you would use the telephone technique. So the telephone technique is where you imagine yourself talking to somebody on the telephone, and you would either say to the person that I have now got the thing that I was trying to manifest, or they will say to you, I've really noticed that you are such and such a person, and that thing would be the thing that you were trying to manifest. And during the same process of using the telephone technique, I would also use the congratulations technique, also by Neville Goddard. So I would imagine myself having a telephone conversation with somebody else where I say to them, oh, guess what? I've managed to hit my goal and I've made this amount of money. And then they say back to me, oh, congratulations, that's fantastic. And two other techniques that I use quite regularly are when I'm trying to manifest multiple desires at the same time. And the first one is to use my perfect Groundhog Day design. Because I've already written it out in my journal, all of the details are already written down. I know exactly what I want, I'm very clear on what I want, and I can replay my perfect day in my imagination over and over again. So I do that quite often as well. And the other technique that I use to manifest multiple things at once is my memory manifestation mansion technique, where you walk through different rooms in your house and you imagine that you have manifested something different in each room of your house, and I have got a specific video on this technique as well. Step 4 of the manifestation process is the process of rejecting disbelief or overcoming blocks. So this step in the manifestation process actually isn't essential, but again, it's very helpful if you feel like you are blocking your reverse memory. Maybe you've created a reverse memory in your imagination, but then you've created an opposing reverse memory, which is a negative reverse memory, something that you don't want, that's overpowering and overriding that first reverse memory. In this case, it is a good idea to do some of this work to reject some disbelief, or maybe you've got an overriding belief that is something like, well, I never get what I want, and that kind of thing. That can stop any manifestations coming to you. So if you feel like you've got any of these overriding negative beliefs that are holding yourself back, then it's a really good idea to reject some of the disbelief to avoid blocking your manifestations. And I've got a few processes that I love to use to do this, and the first one is my Stamp It Out process to reject disbelief. And this is a 5-step process that you can work through to reject disbelief and replace the disbelief with what you actually want to believe instead, and I have a video on this as well. I also like to work with my hierarchy of beliefs. This is a concept that I invented as well. The hierarchy of beliefs says that what is at the top of the hierarchy will prevent what you want to manifest at the bottom of the hierarchy. So if you are trying to manifest, say, for example, a new car, but you have an overriding belief at the top of the hierarchy that you can never manifest anything, or that you are not capable of manifesting anything, it doesn't matter what you're trying to manifest at the bottom of the hierarchy of beliefs. So I also have a video on this, so go and check that out as well. When I'm having down days and I'm feeling like I'm doubting myself and I'm doubting whether my manifestations will actually happen, another thing I like to do is to let go and surrender. And I don't mean that I let go of the desires. I don't mean that I surrender wanting the desires, which a lot of people say that you should do. I don't believe in that, but I do believe that surrendering is very powerful, and I have a video which is called Surrender versus Manifestation, and how they're actually the same thing. So go and check that out if you want to know how I surrender. Another thing that I really love to do when I'm having periods of doubt, and I'm not trusting that my manifestations are going to come, is I like to look for evidence. And there are so many different ways to look for evidence, but evidence for me is signs that the manifestation is actually there in the physical reality. For example, if I'm trying to manifest money and then I make a sale, to me that's evidence in my manifestation. That is the manifestation unfolding. And other types of evidence that I look for is scientific proof. I really like to back up my beliefs with scientific evidence, and I have a video about how manifestation actually is scientific, and it actually has been proved by science. So I like to remind myself of that if I am really struggling with my beliefs. So go and check that video out as well if you want to be certain that you will manifest what you want. Another technique that I really love to use on a pretty much daily basis, and this is another technique by Neville Goddard, is the technique of revision. So if something negative has happened in the day, or something happened that I didn't want to happen, or even a memory pops up from my past, a negative memory that I would prefer didn't happen, then I use the process of revision, which is to manifest a different memory based on something that's already happened, and I have a video on how to do this as well. Step number 5 of the manifestation process is to reinforce new beliefs, and this step of the process actually isn't essential either, but again, it can be very helpful, because when you are trying to believe in a new belief, you need reinforcements to make that belief solid, to give it foundations. So this is what we're doing in this stage. And this stage is all about affirmations. It's all about repetition. And my preferred techniques to use when I want to reinforce that I am something, or I have something, or I've done something, is I like to use brain stamps. And this is a version of affirmations, but brain stamps mean that something is completely natural, because they are words that you would actually say out loud to somebody if you had manifested what you want. And I talk about this in my affirmations video. I also like to create riffs on my brain stamps, and I also like to record them so I can listen to an audio recording of me talking through my brain stamps over and over again, especially when I can't be bothered to actually remember what they are. Now, the 6th step of the process is to take action, and it's a bit complicated to explain whether or not this step is necessary or not necessary. So here goes. When it comes to action, I believe that all physical action that you take is inevitable action, which means it's taken on autopilot. So a lot of people will tell you that you need to take a particular action in order to manifest something. You need to act as if, and they think just because they performed a particular action and then they manifested what they want, then that's what everybody else should do. That just because they felt compelled to invest in a high-ticket coaching program before they actually had the money, they now believe that that's what everybody else needs to do. And I don't believe in this. I believe that everybody's got their own unique journey when it comes to the action. Some people are compelled to spend money that they don't really have. Some people are compelled to save most of their money. Some people are compelled to take action on a new business. Some people are compelled to wait before taking action. So action is not always essential at this moment in time, because we don't know when our manifestations are going to come. The reverse memories that we create now, they could take years, and I don't want to sound negative about this, but some manifestations do take a long time. And you might create a reverse memory about something now and then not be compelled to take any action for years, and then all of a sudden you're compelled to take action. And this has happened to me so many times. I create a reverse memory and then I just don't feel compelled to take any action for, say, a whole month, and then all of a sudden I'm just compelled to take action, and I don't know what changed. I didn't motivate myself to get up and take action. I just simply didn't want to, and now I want to. And that's just the inevitable action based on the automatic unfolding. I believe that once you set that reverse memory in motion, there is a period of time called the automatic unfolding, and that could just be one day, or it could be 1 year, it could be 10 years. We don't know. Most manifestations will happen as quickly as they possibly can, but there is this period of time called the automatic unfolding, which means that every action that needs to happen by you or somebody else will automatically happen. So for this reason, I don't believe in act as if. I don't believe in fake it until you make it. I believe that you can physically try and force yourself to take action, but it feels hard and it feels difficult. I have an acronym that I like to use, and it's called doing tons tasks. TONS, T-O-N-S, stands for today's one next step. And I believe in just taking today's one next step. What do I feel compelled to do today? I don't try and worry about the future. I don't try and worry about how this is building on this process for the future. I just believe that what I'm compelled to do today will influence the future in some way. I will be able to look back with hindsight and know that I have taken action for a reason. And there are a lot of action steps that are very positive and that people really enjoy doing. Some of these are things like facing your fears, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, surrounding yourself with people that you aspire to be like, changing or improving your environment, decluttering, starting a morning or an evening routine, doing something that you enjoy doing every single day, trying not to complain as much, absorbing yourself in the thing that you want to create and the thing that you want to manifest. I do believe that all of this action is positive, but I believe that it's still inevitable action, that it all stems from that reverse memory. When you have created that reverse memory, you will be led and guided towards doing these positive things. And most people do the physical action, they take the physical action, and then they credit the physical action with being the thing responsible for their manifestation, forgetting that they imagined it in the process. So they might say, well, I lost weight because I went on a diet. And I used to be one of these people as well. I used to say, to lose weight, you have to go on a diet and you have to do this diet, and this is how I lost the weight. But I forgot that I imagined myself slim. I imagined myself healthy. And that was my particular path. That was my particular journey. And we all have a different journey. And that's not to say you shouldn't encourage somebody to take a physical action, because people are drawn to different things, but it's all inevitable. So if you are encouraging somebody to eat particular types of food, go on a particular type of diet, that's fine, as long as you recognize that it's the imagination that compelled you to go on that diet, and it's their imagination that compels them to follow the diet that you have created. It all starts with the imagination. So yes, we can do physical things, yes, we can encourage people to do physical things, but they'll only be drawn to it if it's the right path for them. So I hope that makes sense when it comes to taking action, because taking action is one of those things that can really trip people up, and I've got another video all about inevitable action and explaining it in a lot more detail. So just to summarize, what techniques are the best? The only technique that you need to do to manifest anything is to create a reverse memory, is to use your imagination and believe that you are already there in your imagination. Feel the feelings of already being there, and that is creating a reverse memory. That's the only thing you need to do to manifest. How often should you do it? I recommend you do it until you believe that you have received it in your imagination, that you've created that memory. So say, for example, you are trying to manifest a new house, and somebody said, "So, have you found a house yet?" And your mind automatically thinks, "Yes, I've imagined my house." But then you have to remind yourself, actually, no, I haven't in my physical reality. And then you have to say, well, I've got an image of it in my mind, but I haven't actually found it in real life yet. So it's where your mind springs to automatically. And as soon as it springs to there, you know that it's in the process of manifesting. You've gone into that period of automatic unfolding, and you can block this period by creating a new reverse memory that is the opposite of the reverse memory that you wanted. And if that happens, then go back to the drawing board and create that new reverse memory again, or use some of the other techniques to try and shift your belief systems back to where they should be. But really, it's just a very simple process. It's just a process of creating and replaying that reverse memory in your imagination as often as you want. You can do it once a day, you can do it 10 times a day, it's totally up to you. But if that topic comes up, then that memory is the thing that pops into your mind, and that's when you know you can have a rest from it. And I encourage you to have a rest at that point in time, and then if it starts to fade from your memory, then come back and create it again. So go and watch my video on how to create a reverse memory. I've also got another video called Manifestation Myth Busting that busts a lot of myths, a lot of things that people tell you have to do to manifest. This video dispels all of the myths and tells you that you don't have to do this and all of these things and be in a good mood and be positive and be grateful and all these things to manifest. You don't need to do any of that stuff. So go and check out that video as well. I've got a free gift for you if you want to manifest business, my Manifestation Milestones board pack, which you can get in the description below. And I would love to know from you, which is your favorite manifestation technique? Let me know in the comments, and I would love it if you would like this video and subscribe. And now it's your turn to go and put your stamp on the world.